Hey guys, welcome back to Survival Dispatch. Today what we're going to do is talk about hand line and hand fishing. Very simple setup that I've got going on here. It's just a Spiderwire spool. It's just the spool that the Spiderwire came on. It's a 10-pound test, and it works perfectly because it can be held just like this, and the line can be cast off of our spool, and it works really, really well. Very small and compact and simple setup that fits in your pack or in a back pocket or a cargo pocket, and can catch you some food. This is 10-pound test spider wire, and all I've done is tie on a simple jig, chartreuse jig here, and put a rubber band around it just to keep things nice and tidy and it doesn't make a mess. But if I pull this rubber band off, just like so, stick that in a pocket, I am ready to fish, and it is simple as that. I like spider wire because it disappears and becomes completely invisible in the water. It's really slick and it slides off of the spool really well when you're doing hand lining like this. However, it's kind of comparable to a static rock climbing rope. There's no stretch to it, no give at all. And when you're hand lining, you're relying a little bit on the flex of that line. So a monofilament might be better because it can stretch, because you don't have that rod to flex and absorb the shock of the fish fighting. But it's what I've got, and it'll work for now. Now, the last issue of Survival Dispatch Insider was all about animals and wildlife. Now, there's alligators in this water right here, so you've got to kind of be conscious of that. I'm not afraid of alligators, but I am aware that they're here, and they can pose a certain amount of risk if you're not aware of them. I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to swim in this water, I don't think, even though there are some larger alligators out there, because we're typically just not on the menu. However, if you're on the bank like this, you would be pretty much an idiot to not at least check the water surroundings before you start wading out into it, because this is where they're going to be the most dangerous, is on the water's edge. This is where they kind of catch most of their prey and lie and wait for them to walk along. So if you haven't checked out Survival Dispatch Insider, make sure you do, because it's full of really, really useful survival information, and I think that you guys will like it. So all I'm doing is just letting the line slide between my fingers, and then reeling it up on the spool again, and using that as my fishing reel. And I'm giving a little bit of jigging action as I go, kind of jerking the line. And if I feel a tug on my line, I'll set the hook with my hand. Fish on. You gotta let it run if it's gonna run, because I've only got 10-pound test here, so I'm just kind of keeping my thumb on the spool and letting it go if it wants, and slowing it down with my hand here. And then when it slows down, I can reel it back in. But that's a pretty good sized fish, I think. Just hope it doesn't get me around a rock. But if I'm really careful, take my time with it, let the fish just slowly tire and wear itself out, I'll be able to get it in here and drag it up on the bank. Try to keep the line high so it doesn't get wrapped around any rocks or anything. Eventually this fish is going to get tired if I don't lose it first. But when it wants to go, I just let it. I just let it go, and I slow it down gently by just letting the friction on my fingers and my thumb on the spool here. Gonna let it tucker itself out. I'm not really gonna haul on it. Feels like a pretty good sized fish. Just gotta be careful. I like fishing with light lines like this because it makes it a little more interesting. If I was using 50-pound test, you just drag it in, run that way with the line and pull the fish in up on the bank, but you can't do that with this. Getting there. Getting close. There we go. And then once I get close, I'm just going to back up and pull him up on the bank. Like that, because I have had alligators steal my fish from me before. And it's always right about at that time when you're just about to land them is when they come and get really interested in your fish. But this is a cichlid. It's a non-native species. I actually had some of these fish in my fish tank when I was a kid. Not quite this big, obviously, but very similar kind of fish, similar species. So we got our hook out. He made a mess of my jig, but we got our hook out, and it's a good sized fish, and that's an eater right there. Good pan fry size. Really pretty fish. He's got some teeth, not real huge teeth, but he's got some chompers. And then, like I was saying, just being aware of your surroundings when I go to put this fish back in the water. Alligators are attracted to the splashing and the thrashing and the kind of the animal in distress sounds on the water. So when you go put the fish back in the water, just be aware that, just be vigilant and make sure that no gator snuck up on you when you're putting it in there, because you don't want it, when it goes for this fish, to grab your hand at the same time. All right, guys, well, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. I appreciate you joining me for this little Handline video. Great little piece of kit to keep in your pack. Easy to fish with, a lot of fun at the same time, and you can get yourself a meal. So thumbs up. See you next time.